although blacks can be credited with being here during the construction of Fort Louisburg and Cape Breton. It wasn't until black loyalists coming here after the American Revolution where we started calling this land ours. The Guysborough Settlement, which was established June 21st, 1781, couldn't contain a man by the name of Thomas Brown Spriggs, who applied for land for his people and got it. Upper Big Tracadie today are descendants of those land grantees who wasted no time clearing their 40.5-acre plots to begin their new life, establishing and cementing their legacy.
You know what I mean?
I
So
do.
when I stand up against people that are 6'2", 6'3", I look way shorter. But I'm actually almost just as tall as him. I stood up between a basketball player and Ganesh one time. He's like that. He goes, "You're around 6'1", 6'2". I said, "They don't look like it." You know what I mean? You're so much taller, right?
I was 5'8", and I played pretty good. I was pretty good in the basketball. I'm good on the feet.
You used to play basketball?
Yeah, I jump high. You never know. There's a lot of blood in there. I can't help it. I'm born this way, and you can't change that. No, you can't.
Right.
No, you can't.
On the way up to Upper Big Tracadie from Halifax, I had a lot of time to think about what it could have been like for people growing up here. Each generation obviously has a different experience, but talking with John, Lorraine, and Sheldon about their experience gives me a sense of togetherness that we aren't seeing as much of nowadays. John, thank you so much for allowing us into your home.
Anytime you want to come.
All my Sampsons come from Windsor, Nova Scotia, like Ponick Road and like 3 Mile Plains and stuff. And but on my grandmother's maiden side, like she's more like East Preston, like she's more from the Preston area. So we recently went up to East Preston, found out all my people up there, and I met some Williamses over there. I met a lady named Dolly Williams.
Oh yeah, I know Dolly.
Who was married to Sinclair Williams.
Yes.
First black police officer at Dartmouth.
Exactly.
And hearing her talk about him and like the type of man he was, like really good man.
Yeah, right.
So like this is actually my first time up and around this area. So
What I see today, I must be truthful with it and bring my message across pretty easy. What's going on today, there's a lot to pull together. Number one. Number two, some people don't appreciate God's work. And you see that because some of the churches closing up and all that, and you see all that. As far as you go, you can go far as you can go, you'll find that out, I'm right. Because they don't put enough trust in God. And that is the bottom topic for today.
So what? There's a Baptist church around here too?
Yes, right down here.
The bride is Sandra McLean. She was born here in Upper Big Tracadie, but she doesn't live here anymore. And tonight she'll be gone again to take up residence in the city.
It's a church that is under the AUBA, the African United Baptist Association.
Right.
Right. So we're one of the churches across the province, actually, from Windsor and Digby and all those churches, East Preston. We all belong to the AUBA.
How long has that church been there? Because I know it said that Upper Big Tracadie was like
We're
what?
over 200 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
200.
Over 200 years old.
So how long have you lived in this house?
30-some years. 32 or something like that.
How'd you come up to Upper Big Tracadie? Because you're...
I came up Big Tracadie. I was hanging around the descendants, and they're going to have parties. So I had a car then. Oh boy, that was good. I was driving and everything, and they taxed the trip. You know, I was shopping. I wouldn't have pour a big price, just enough to get by, you know, because nobody had no money then. There was no money like today.
He just had acquaintances here. John was, it was like he was almost like he was homeless because he was sleeping in the cars and laying out. And then finally, I mean, many of the people up here took him in.
Yeah.
But finally, he decided once he got straightened away, and I think the community or somebody reached out to him, and that's how he started to build his house.
His picture's right here, if you want to see. You might saw him before, or someone saw him. Give me time to show that. My mom's right there in the picture.
Is that you?
No.
No, that wasn't me, but she was holding the kid. She always did hold a lot of kids.
Right.
I heard that a long time. Could be some of my people, you know.
What's the school around here? Like, what's the school called?
I don't remember the school too much.
We had a small segregated school that was just at the forks of the road when you come this way.
Yeah.
It was a small little red schoolhouse that when we were growing up, it was this segregated school, only us in the community that went there. And then they decided to close it. And actually they took most of the kids, went to Lincolnville, and they had another segregated school there. But when I grew up, they took us from our school here and took us to Lincolnville. And then there was another school they brought down from the Guysborough Interval, and they put it alongside the original one. So the older kids went to that school, and there was a Mrs. She was a white lady. She was the principal of the other school, and the younger kids went there. And then finally, when those schools closed, they built a Mary Cornish school over just down the road a bit, and that was an elementary school, and that was the one that closed. It was the last segregated school that closed. But that's the community that Deacon Alonzo Reddick lives in, Lincolnville.
Alonzo Reddick,
yep. That's where that school was, yeah.
And you grew up on this road?
No, my road. My road. It was Day Road.
Day Road down.
There's three different roads. There's one straight ahead, and this one comes this way, and mine goes that way.
This here is our oldest cemetery of the black history that you'll find here. This is a graveyard.
What?
Are we walking on it?
This here is a graveyard, I'm telling you. There was one headstone here. And it was from an old army headstone, and it was white, and it was dated from 18 something, but you could barely see the rock itself, like the printing into it, but there was a natural stone here. I remember there used to be an old fence too that used to run along.
As we continued up the hill, going further into the woods, my mind started to wonder if some of those first land grantees are buried up here. And it also made me wonder, how many of us know that this exists? Do young people know that their ancestors are buried up here?
This is where I stand, buddy. Give me a picture. Now, give me a picture where my people used to be. This is where we started from. Not over there, not up there. It started right here. In the 1800s, we used to run the seas. We used to live there. Now we up on the hill. We overlooking that sea, watching to see what's coming, if there's any more of them coming. And that's why I say, hey, this is the birthplace. I'm pretty sure if they got that geologist to go down in the ground, he's gonna find our bones right here. Nowhere else, right here.
The memories of the pioneers of the black community.
Thank you.
1782 to 1931.
I'm glad we found it, you guys.
This is the very first time I've seen this. It makes me feel sad. When I first seen it, it brought tears to my eyes because I'm thinking, we have people buried here. This should be maintained. It's really sad. It really is.
Having an idea of who our ancestors were and what they've had to endure for us to have what we have today gives me, anyway, a sense of pride, worth, belonging, and identity. Because sometimes we don't experience that same love, nurturing, and care out in the world. It can get heavy. And having a place to come home to, more so even a community, is something to be grateful for.
I could swear to you that the church was not there. I do know that. The church was not there. That church was planted there. That hall you see up there was planted there.
Like it was built there after this.
Basically, after this here, right? Like
Yeah.
you said, that's the second grave site, I would say.
Right.
So, man, hey, I'm kind of glad I got to you guys before you got away, because this
How'd you hear
here.
about us? How'd you hear that we were?
No, I did. I heard that John was speaking.
Yeah.
That there's people coming down to see him and gonna talk about our black community, and I was like, okay, yeah, I never heard tell of that, right? Yeah. And today when I was driving by, and I'm like, I seen these guys with cameras there, and I said to the wife, I said, I wonder if them the guys that John was talking about that's interviewing the black communities. So I turned around and I came back and I said, I want to show them the other gravesite.
Your foster mother was an Ash,
Ash, yeah, and my mom,
and she married a Borden.
my father is my Uncle Pat was my grandfather. Uncle Pat made by a Paris woman, you know, her mother.
Okay.
And that's how we were relations right here today. She is constellation, first cousin. If you want to read the story right and get the no half. You don't say half. You're not half a person. You know,
Oh, you mean like half siblings and stuff?
Yeah, that's full. I mean, you look at the whole.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I would say, you know.
I don't call any of my half sisters.
I wouldn't call no half. That's no half.
That's your sister.
Sister, and that's it. You can't get over that. If you love someone, try to help someone. Years ago, it was help. It was no say I can't do it. It was no money them days. As far as I can go down, what I got paid was $2.50 an hour. That's a long time ago.
Compared to now?
An hour, too, as an hour. So it went up after that, but I was pretty well getting a little bit thin. We'll say about $10 at that time, because I was put on the payroll then. You can put have a good drink, you know. And
You don't drink, do you?
no, I have drank.
Right.
In my day, yeah. And myself, I feel good and with others, and I know about life, about what's going on in life. It's today, it's not going to change. So this way, I'll make a short better than that way, to give everybody a chance. And it's not going to change until the God's takes over. And he's there all the time, and he's giving everybody a chance to be with God before he does his work. And when he does his work, he's going to do it so nice and smooth. He promised us eternal life. I don't have to what I say. God has to what I say, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking what I know, step by step.
I remember watching a film called Loyalties. And in that film, it follows Carm Robertson's journey back where their family would have been enslaved in South Carolina. And in that film, it struck me. At the time, some folks from Upper Big Tracadie didn't have a grasp where they came from or how they got there. And this is why I think it's important we know and understand our history, because we're going to go down these never-ending, twisting roads we call life without a sense of self-identity that has always been there for us to hold on to. And if we lose that togetherness, we get lost, with no road to lead us back home. And sometimes, it can get really hard to find your way. It can get dark. And for Caitlin and Cassandra's family, it's honoring those that left and cherishing the ones that are still here, creating new family that keeps everything shining bright.
Cassandra and Caitlin, thank you for bringing us here today. Where are we at right now?
Right now we are at St. Monica's Catholic Church in Lincolnville, Nova Scotia. As you can see, located here directly in front of us, this would be the matriarch of our family. This is our grandmother, Ardella Marie Ash. This is her maiden name, Desmond, after she married our grandfather, Wolfert. The middle of her would be our brother, mine and Caitlin's brother, the late Corporal Lionel Ambrose Desmond, who lost his life back in 2017. There was a tragic incident that happened to our family. It was a murder-suicide. And Lionel ended up taking his life, our mom, his wife, and his daughter. Beside our brother would be our mom, Brenda, who, as you can see on the same January 3rd of 2017 was the date that that happened, so we're coming on 7 years. My grandmother had 14 children.
14
and
children.
All of them range on the back. 7 boys, 7 girls.
Like, and the only Desmonds that I really knew, especially growing up in like Halifax, was Leona Desmond.
Okay.
So I didn't know that like the Desmonds actually, you know, I shouldn't say came from here, but a lot of them are up here.
But that's our great-grandmother right there. So that's the French tie. So she married, what was his, John Harvey was his name. So that's where the Jordan came from, but she was originally Charlotte Jarvis.
Wow. Jarvises, I actually found out that a lot of them are in Weymouth Falls, a lot of Jarvises. We were talking to a lady in Truro named Joanne Jordan, who married a Jordan from Truro.
Okay.
But she's actually, her maiden's Jarvis. So then it kind of started putting things in my head because my father is from Liverpool, and I know he loves Jarvises. Loves Jarvises. Every time I talk to him, he's with another Jarvis. This is what I'm finding, especially doing this work, is just reconnecting us all, really, because you can go to other black communities, and like you said, didn't even realize that there were Jarvises up here, and then you go, let's just say, go to Weymouth, and then that Charlotte might have been related to those Jarvises out there. It's like, and it makes you wonder, like, what was their intent for migration?
Exactly,
you know
or why? What pushed them out if they did have to go out, or what did not keep them there? Like, there's so many reasons as to why, and like, we need to find the answers to those questions because that's history.
Yeah.
And it puts the pieces to the puzzle and the stories together.
Yeah.
And then when you think, my kids, because we're creating generations after our own generation, so we're learning this history, and it's like we're teaching it to the kids, and they have a whole broader map than like they can even, imagine or let alone keep up with,
Yeah.
With how fast the world is moving around us, I find for my generation at least, we forget things so quickly. We don't have the sharpness our grandparents have. And yes, our children do have a broader map. But compared to the world this gentleman grew up in, children had to grow up quick.
Well, when I was a kid, there was 200 people in Lincolnville. There was about at least 40 houses or more. Every house had 6, 7 people into it. Some had more. Very few houses had 2 or 3 people. very few. I went to a one-room school just down the road here. It was 40 of us, and that one room was not as big as the inside of this hall here.
Wow.
A big old iron stove almost in the middle. Those sitting close to the stove would complain about the heat. Those at the walls would complain about the cold. Because my father was working for $2 a day. Put 8 hours in. My mother was working for $1.50 a day then. So I got $12 a year. I thought that was a lot of money. Most money I ever had at that time, one time in my life. When you got to be 10 years old, you got up to make the fire on, go to the barn, feed the horse and the cow, come back in. Time you come back in, your father and mother would be up and have breakfast. Then you go back out, clean the barn and harness the horse, go in the woods, get a load of wood or pick props or logs, and then you go to school. Then when I got 12, I started missing a lot of school. Go in the woods, cut props.
Now, the props Dad's talking about are props for the mines in Queen Spade.
Used in the mines.
What do you mean, the
Props. They would use like trees about 5, 6 inches.
It was 4 inches, 5 inches, 7 inches, and 8 inches.
Yeah, and they would use them to prop the ceilings.
To prop the ceiling up in the mines.
way.
Yeah.
I got 30 cents an hour, and my first cousin earned ready, he drove the truck. He got 40 cents an hour.
Do you know Wayne Desmond?
Yes, I know, Wayne.
So Wayne Desmond rolled up on us, was like hunting us down, basically. He was like, yo, this is the cemetery, but I gotta show you another cemetery.
The one across the road there.
Yeah, like up in the woods.
Yeah. When I was a kid, you were up there, I would say there was about probably 30 or 40 or maybe grave that you could recognize. Now, how many that they didn't keep up? There was flat rocks at a lot of them.
Oh, yeah, those rocks would be a foot below the surface now.
Probably, yeah.
So with that, like, that cemetery up there, like, those would have been like, I don't know, like the parents of the folks that were buried more into the new cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
And grandparents probably.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, they would probably be, that cemetery was the first cemetery when the church was built? Or prior to the church?
That church was down close where the graveyard is. And they moved it up with oxen, pulled it up to where it's at now. Everybody helped everybody. If you was out doing something, the neighbor, whatever they were doing, they drop and come help. I know when my father gave my aunt a little piece of land to build a house on. Body that had a hammer was there. They almost complete that house in one day.
Wow.
It was in one other way. And the women, dinner time, they started bringing food and sat around and ate.
That seems to be like the thread everybody we talked to about like what it was like. It was like everybody would come and help you if you needed something.
Yeah, oh yes. Yeah.
It seems like Lincolnville has been good to you.
Yes, it was good to me. I wouldn't want to live nowhere else. If I had to move tomorrow, I'd move back to Lincolnville. If I was somewhere else. I was born here and I'm going to die here. All thanks and glory be to God, given to God. Amen. George Alonzo ready? The fourth and the last one.
I thank John for allowing me to come be part of his interview today. I just found out last night, and he says I'm one of his best cousins.
She always was.
This is a very important opportunity for me to speak about my community as I grew up and how I look back and feel very proud to be living in Upper Big Tracadie.